Edward Lin will learn his fate. The Navy officer accused of revealing military secrets is facing 36 years behind bars. The government has asked for 12 years, the defense 1.5 years. Right now, the judge is taking it all under advisement, but we're told he will not have an answer until 6 o'clock. Former military intelligence officer Amy Yarsinke joins us now to talk about the case. Your reaction to these latest developments?
Well, it's going to be disappointing one way or the other. I mean, the government's asked for 12, the defense has asked for 1.5, and he admitted that he was not an honest broker in this. He admitted to being guilty in his statements to the NCIS and in his confession, obviously. And you know, at this point, if he doesn't get anything that's a decent amount of time and behind prison, it would just lend itself to other officers, other military members committing perhaps similar crimes and not safeguarding information that he was doling out, apparently, in the charges that are against him.
Just for people who don't know, tell us about the amount of time DOD spends profiling people who could potentially commit crimes like this.
It starts before you ever are issued a clearance. They start profiling you, they look at your background, they look very thoroughly at your background to make sure that there are no contacts. He had foreign contacts. He wasn't reporting proper foreign contacts. He was going places where he issued one statement where he was going to be at his home in Northern Virginia and he was actually headed for Taiwan. You know, things like that. They look at all sorts of travel and relationships that you have, and they start profiling you for military service, you know, before you even get the ink dry on the forms.
Now, prosecutors struck a deal that portrays him as being arrogant and willing to reveal military secrets to impress women. Did this hurt the government's case? To some degree, what really, I think, more or less hurt the government's case was not going behind the scenes a little bit further to the people that were purportedly supposed to be the star witnesses they had against him. They had a Taiwanese former naval officer who just recently retired, who he has purportedly had interaction with. They also had a Taiwanese lobbyist, you know, and neither one of them would actually go against him in terms of their statements. And they should have just gone beyond that and looked a little bit further and further and further. And we won't know whether they did or actually, you know, did not do those things unless that case file starts to become more public. They said they're not going to do that right now because of the case being where it is. However, to really secure the case, they needed to look more at the people in his periphery, you know, all the people who could have picked up on the information he was talking about. So far, you're not giving the government a good grade on this prosecution?
No, because asking for 12 when he probably should have gotten closer to the 36 or whatever they, you know, given the number of charges that are still remain against him and what he did with that information is troubling. He was part of a very special secret program, a special access program in which he was privy to very, very high level programs and things that we have coming out in the future, operations. And so that's troubling. And how much of a message does it send if you let him off with a certain amount, almost a slap on the wrist? And what if he goes into court this afternoon, the judge agrees to say 2 years, and they say, okay, judge, time served. He's been in jail in the brig for 2.5. So what message does that send? It's not a high risk anymore for someone to come in and do exactly the same thing and be very good at what they do in terms of taking our information like that and passing it off.
Amy, thank you so much for joining us. We will stay on this story all afternoon. Janet, back to you.
All right, thank you. In the headlines, Virgin Galactic